closely to the media coverage of the 36-year-old accusation against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, and the chorus is hard to miss.
We have Dr. Ford's credible allegation. She has nothing to gain here.
The receipts were there. The story is credible. I don't think anyone doesn't believe her.
I have every reason to believe that she's going to show that she's a very credible witness and that her story is very credible.
I believe Dr. Ford, as I refer to her, because she makes a very credible case.
This is a situation where you have serious and credible allegations of rape.
Now, we're led to believe that these are credible allegations. They're all reading from the same playbook. But given the age of the charges, what's the standard for credibility? Has any evidence been produced? Is there any corroborating witness? So far, the answer is no. In fact, the only other person named in the accusation says it never happened. And given what we know of the accuser's political inclination and her support of left-wing causes, it's not unreasonable to believe that she has a political axe to grind. The hyperbolic, overheated reaction to these charges is somewhat reminiscent of what happened to the Duke lacrosse team more than a decade ago. Remember, in 2006, the Duke lacrosse team hired a pair of exotic dancers for a party at a rental house near the Duke campus. And one of the dancers, a black woman, claimed that 3 of the lacrosse players brutally raped her in a bathroom. Dave Evans, the captain of the team and one of the accused, he spoke to the media the moment he learned of the charges against him.
First, I want to say that I'm absolutely innocent of all the charges that have been brought against me today, that Reed Seligman and Colin Fernie are innocent of all the charges that were brought against them. Every member of the Duke University lacrosse team is innocent. You have all been told some fantastic lies.
Well, the media seized on the story, spinning this stripper's credible accusation into a tale of white privilege, misogyny, and just pure evil. A media swarm and rush to judgment followed. The Duke lacrosse coach, Mike Pressler, who stood by his team in the face of these false allegations, was fired for it, and the young men's reputations were dragged through the mud. Only later did we discover that the 3 accused men were not near the dancer long enough for the alleged assault to have happened. One of the 3 men accused was a mile away at an ATM machine, and thankfully it was captured on security video at the time of the alleged incident. All 3 men were eventually cleared of the charges. North Carolina's then Attorney General Roy Cooper, in declaring their innocence, said the men had been victims of a tragic rush to accuse and the failure to verify serious allegations. The crusading Durham District Attorney, Mike Fong, who cooked evidence and raced to prosecute, was disbarred and convicted of contempt for his actions. Now, this should be, in a different fact, but it's a cautionary tale as we weigh and determine the credibility of allegations against Judge Kavanaugh. At least the Duke lacrosse case was kind of contemporary when it comes to the timing, with witnesses and a crime scene. 36 years later, Ms. Ford can't recall exactly when or where her alleged incident even took place. Yet throughout the media, the drumbeat goes on, and there is an implicit message that senators dare not submit the accuser to any tough questioning, as they did with Anita Hill.
I remember sitting in that hearing room watching Anita Hill endure character assassination day after day from Republicans.
They know that they can't attack her directly and say she's making it up. That's what they did with Anita Hill in 1991. Today, that probably wouldn't fly in a Me Too era.
We must not repeat the mistake of the Anita Hill hearings. They were rushed and were a debacle. Do we want to repeat that mistake?
A debacle. Well, I actually think the Republicans have learned the important lesson from the Anita Hill hearings. They've learned that the only way to deal with last-minute he said, she said allegations is to refuse to be intimidated and to proceed fairly and methodically. But the more salient question is, have the Democrats learned any lessons about the toxicity of false charges coupled with a media pylon as demonstrated by both the Duke lacrosse and the Clarence Thomas cases? Do they recognize that a rush to judgment is not only unfair, but destructive to the process and to individual lives. Every accuser has a right to speak out, but should be obliged to have his or her allegations challenged, and sometimes aggressively so. The accused, meanwhile, should not be presumed guilty, and he or she should have every opportunity to clear his or her good name. Now, Chairman Grassley has dedicated Monday to a public hearing where both Judge Kavanaugh and his accuser, Ms. Ford, have been invited to appear. Kavanaugh is ready, but according to reports out late tonight and a letter from her attorney, Ms. Ford wants the FBI to investigate her allegations before she agrees to appear. That was a late-breaking letter that her attorney submitted to the Senate tonight. Well, the question is, who will blink first? Listeners to my radio show had a message today for Republicans who failed to stand up for Kavanaugh and a fair process.
If the Republicans don't do this, I'll be voting, but I won't be voting for Republicans. They've done this so many times. They have no backbone. They have no spine.
I am infuriated. The reason we voted for Trump is because of his outstanding SCOTUS picks. If they don't push Kavanaugh through, they will never seat another Supreme Court judge, especially a man.
I have been traveling all over the country attending Trump rallies, and I can tell you firsthand, if the Republicans don't grow a backbone and support Kavanaugh and take the vote now, they're going to have hell to pay come November.
Well, in a way, though, this shouldn't really be about the midterms, right? This should only be about whether Judge Kavanaugh is qualified to sit on the highest court of the land. We all have to ask ourselves a question. Should a charge made by one person decades late, impossible to prove or to rebut, be enough to damn the reputation of someone with decades of honorable public service? Someone whose jobs in government required no fewer than 6 previous FBI background checks. And shouldn't all of us, regardless of party, consider the poisonous precedent that would set? And that's the angle.